Welcome back to Upstate Real Producers Podcast, where we take a step back from the business talk to really get to know the people shaping our communities with heart, grit, and purpose. Today's guest is someone who brings a whole lot more than real estate expertise to the table. She brings soul, substance, and a spark that people don't forget. Maggie Aiken Toler has been named Best Realtor of the Upstate by the Greenville News Readers 8 times since 2015, a title that says a lot about her, and she shows up for her clients and her community. She also has been recognized as one of Greenville Business Magazine's Best and Brightest under 35, and has been handpicked to serve the Berkshire Hathaway Home Service National REthink Council, spotlighting the top emerging agents in the country. But today, we won't be talking about her awards or accolades. We're here to find out more who Maggie is and beyond all that. Welcome to the podcast, Maggie.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Never been on a podcast before.
Great. Well, we're glad that this is your first one. So, Maggie, let's jump right in. Let's take a rewind a little bit. Who was Maggie growing up? Like, coming into the world, what kind of energy was you bringing? Like, tell us a little bit about little Maggie.
You know, I think about my dad has always said that I talk so much that I made his ears bleed. And so I feel like I was definitely loud, talkative. I also was super neat.
Yeah.
We have pictures of me in my room proudly, and like you can see under the dresser all of my shoes in like perfect lined up order, and all of my baby dolls, and they all had names in like perfect lined up order. And my mom jokes that if we had friends over, I would say, "Mom, do you think you could like pick up a little bit before so-and-so comes over?" And so I definitely had the perfectionist, like competitive, wanted an A+, extra credit kind of person.
And so obviously, like that was something like you remember. What would you say something from your childhood that really like sticks out to you now in your adulthood that's really like kind of like shape and kind of mold you a little bit?
I think about my mom always told us to be kind and how important that was, just to be kind to everybody, no matter who they are or what they were doing or anything like that. And I think about like now I'm from Greenville. So if you're from Greenville, grew up here, and then now work in Greenville, it does come full circle in ways that are really cool. Fortunately, because I was kind and I feel like I followed what she encouraged us to do, but just kind of seeing full circle, it never fails. It in a real estate transaction, you'll go to a seller's house and I'm like, I went to high school with that person. Or you'll be in a multiple offer and you're like, this person's brother was someone I was on, that I did this with, or I was on student council with, or whatever. And to go with confidence, like I know I was kind, and so I can be excited that that person's on the other end of this transaction, or that like I know that on the back end they're not going like, she was awful, she was so mean to me, or whatever. And so I feel like that really stuck with me. And then now having kids, I'm trying to just communicate that same thing to my kids, just to be kind.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too good if you're a mean person and then you're trying to get somebody's business to sell their house or to list their house.
That's right. I mean, I've been in listing appointments and I didn't know who the person was, and then they'll say, you did so-and-so with my cousin, or like that's how, like I just learned that you were in school together, you did sports together, whatever, with my cousin, or something like that, that I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. How are they doing? Tell them I said hello. But I would imagine if you were not a super kind person, that you would lose the listing. Not that it's just like motivated by that, but it's been cool to kind of see that thing that my mom like pressed into us be such a benefit and a blessing on the back end.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And so I know you mentioned a little bit more about being kind of like a perfectionist. You like your shoes to be lined up. What's something that your colleagues probably don't know about you that they should know?
When I think about that question, I'm like, I have a pretty quick wit. That feels like a weird thing to say. I love to laugh. And I feel like my clients and colleagues, I'm a hustler. So I like when I show up and we're like looking at houses, all that stuff, I'm in like business professional mode. And so I've got like my eye on the prize of like, let's do this, we got to do that kind of thing. And so I feel like a side that they maybe don't always get to see is my side of like, I guess like maybe like the fun hat, the business hat is the side that they always get, but I do love to laugh, and I feel like I have a pretty quick wit to throw things at people that they might get glimpses of, here and there.
So what our viewers don't know, you're like the I think the second and the third realtor I had ever talked to. What's crazy, you've seen my life change, I've seen your life change, and kind of bring you back to that quick wit that you kind of surprised me. So I don't know if you remember, we're on Zoom. It's 2020. It's like October or something like that. I'm nervous because I've kind of seen you with all these awards, accolades, and I remember Shannon Riley kind of like introduced us. And I'm like talking, and I said, yeah, like, man, yeah, I got this great idea, and I want to come up with a Millie Club. And with the Millie Club, it's gonna be like Lil Wayne's song, A Millie. You're like, oh, let's hear it. I was like, oh, okay. So you just caught me off guard, right?
Yeah.
So again, like, I definitely have seen that quick wit from you, but I think it's also like really good how you could just switch. You could just be very professional. But I also love that you could just connect with people like, hey, listen, we're going to do business, but I'm your friend too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm your local neighborly realtor, but you're so much more than a realtor as well.
I care about people a lot. I mean, it's what I love about my job, but also a strength. I feel like I just genuinely care about them and want to make the process as smooth and seamless as possible. But like, it doesn't end after closing day. I mean, I have people this week, they're calling me, they closed last week, they had an issue come up. I'm like, we're gonna take care of it. I got my contractor coming over there, we're gonna take care of it. Like, don't worry about it. And so, they're like, oh my gosh, that's so nice. I'm like, well, I care about you. You know, like this is more than just, we didn't just get the sale and move on and I never see you again. Like, I'm gonna keep caring for you.
I think I distinctly remember this. Again, like, this is 2020. I remember one time where I think you had to like actually go like move some stuff out of a listing. Like, you were trying to close, like you're like, this is part of the job. You're not just a realtor. You're like, you're doing things. That's not really your title, but just to make it at ease for your clients.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I think of that with this scenario recently. There was a leak, and after you just move in and there's a leak and everybody's going, who should have caught this, whatever. And I'm like, just don't worry about it. I got a contractor's coming. He's going to fix it. We're going to take care of it. Don't think another minute about it. I got it. It's just like, you want to keep the process with everybody, not happy, but everyone like moving towards like, this is such an exciting event. It's like one of the biggest purchases you'll make in your whole life. Like, you want to make sure it doesn't get soured along the way. And so that's part of my job too. On the back end is like, we're going to keep this train moving. We're going to keep kicking the ball down the field,
Things going to happen, but it's going to all happen the right way.
For sure.
Yeah, and like I mentioned before, I've seen your life kind of just change over the years. I think when I first met you, you may have been married a year or two. You had no kids. And I think I know where you're going to go with this question, but I will kind of go off of there. But what would you say something in your day-to-day life that just brings you peace and joy?
I mean, I love Jesus. I'm a super passionate believer. And so in my day, if you were to find, my hair can be on fire a lot of times with this job. And so I listen to worship music all day. I would say that's probably my like peace grounding, is there's gonna be an undercurrent while I'm banging out emails on my computer or whatever in my car. I am almost always having worship music in the background that just kind of grounds and, all of that. That's really good for me.
So, and then kind of spinning off of that, like I said, I know that you didn't have any kids. Now you have 2 kids.
Yeah.
Girl and a boy?
Yes.
So, Maggie, how do you manage that? Like, being a top realtor, you have 2 kids. How do you, like, just the day-to-day life? I'm sure, like we talked about a little bit before, life was so much different the 8 or 9 years before having kids. Like, what would be some of your advice? Or what's some of those things that kind of like help you still perform for your clients while still being an awesome mom as well?
Yeah, so I mentioned to you I'm going into my 14th year of real estate. So for the majority of my real estate career, I was single. And so I was able to give probably too much, but 110% to real estate. And then you get married and the circle has to get a little bit smaller. And then having 1 kid, the circle gets a little bit smaller, and then coming 2, it gets even smaller. And so I find, getting into this job, I was like, well, it's a flexible job. You can kind of ebb and flow with life. And that was like super appealing to me. But then also being someone who's super driven, it can be a hamster wheel that's hard to slow down or get off of. And so I have found for myself, like, I just have to have some really strong boundaries, and what that means practically is how many buyers I'm taking on, how many sellers I'm taking on. I ask buyers, what's your availability and flexibility of going to see houses? If they say only nights and weekends, I can only have so many of those because that's the only time I get with my kids. I would love to say, yes to everybody, and I just can't do that. And so fortunately, unfortunately, a lot of times real estate has to win because there are deadlines, there's repair requests, there's offers that have to be in, all that stuff that has to happen. Fortunately, I have a wonderful support system with my husband who is super supportive of my job and he's also in the sales world, so he understands, how sales kind of works with that, but also he's fabulous with our kids. So like he can handle all of that. But I personally just have to make sure that it's a short season of my job winning and my family losing, because something always loses out, right?
Yeah.
Something's winning, something's always losing out. And so I just have to make sure that doesn't become a pattern or a norm for our family where my family's losing all the time. It tears me up. I can't do that. No. And so what happens after a season of things being super busy, I find I literally just came out of one of these where I had to really look at my calendar and go, okay, who am I taking on? Do I need to refer some of this out? Can I manage all of this? And then how do I, on days that are slower, take advantage of the flexibility to actually, there's always work that could be done. And I'm bad to I could always be working. But literally last Wednesday, one of my best friends called me Tuesday night and she was like, do you and Thomas, my oldest, he's 3.5, do y'all want to go to the state fair tomorrow? And I looked at my calendar, I had plenty of things I could have been doing, but I didn't have like standing appointments. And I was like, yes, we are going to the state fair and it's going to be so great. And it was the best, just like a core memory kind of day. We had so much fun. And I was like, okay, I'm so thankful I did this. And I'm so thankful for my job that on a Wednesday I can go to the state fair,
Yeah. And I'm soaking this all in. As you know, I am newly parent, 6-week baby boy, and I'm in the world of sales too, and I run my own schedule. But when I met you as well, single, I could work all day. Then I get married last year, then the baby comes this year. Like you said, that circle just gets so small.
That's right.
What would you say personally, and I'm taking notes myself, what would be some keys just that time management? Because I had a coach one time that told me, I was like, I don't want to drop the ball with my kids. And he said, well, I'm gonna just tell you one thing that I think is very important and is actually simple. And I heard one time that love equals presence. So how do you kind of just balance? What would be a key or a couple keys that you would share with any realtors out there that, hey, I'm looking to start a family, or I am looking to grow my family? It don't necessarily have to be a realtor. It can be anybody, any profession.
Mm-hmm. I don't do this great. I try really, my husband and I both try really hard to be present with our kids. They're in daycare full time. And so we get them from about 4:30 every day until they go to bed, and then the weekends, which is why I said I protect that time.
Yeah.
So that would be one thing. Looking at the time that you get with your kids, with your family, whatever, and making sure you protect that time as best as you can. One thing I would like to do more is I've seen something about not email blocking, but where you check your email a couple of times a day. Instead of what I do, which is not good, a continuous flow of always looking at your email at all times.
Every 5, yeah.
And I've done it a few times, and it's incredibly effective because you sit down, you're focused, you're not, at a red light or something that you're not supposed to be doing, and you can knock through a ton of emails, deleting things, whatever, with more efficiency, and then you're not a slave to your email, which is what we often get into doing. And so I feel like that's one thing. I got an Apple Watch. I'm not a watch person, but I got one so that I could try to have my phone away from me when I'm with my kids, and then I can kind of filter through seeing what's important, what can wait, what really can't wait. Oh, I got this person calling, I have to, sorry, can I go? And then I feel too, communicating to my kids when I am stepping away what I'm doing. And then I tell people if I have to show a house on Saturday, I'm like, I have a son, he does not like to be left behind. He's probably gonna come with me. Yeah. And fortunately the client, you feel the room, if it's appropriate and if it's not. But if it is, he loves it. He'll come in and he'll say, here is the kitchen. And there is a room. And, it's just precious. That's right. That's right. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Oh, yeah, you did. I don't think there wasn't like a perfect way. I think it's
hard.
Good to be candid, it's not, there's no rocket science to it. There is no blueprint to it. I think what works for you could work for other people, and it could not work for other people as well. So I love that you're just so candid with that. And being that you're so busy, realtor, kids, what would you say some of your guilty pleasures, something like your creative outlet? Like there's tons to do in Greenville. So what would you say that would be for you?
This is such a funny question. I'm not a creative person at all. That'd probably be the perfectionist, neat person in me, but I love my friends. And so what keeps me, I'm mom most of the time, but what's me is that my time with my friends and just a girls' night or whatever. And so I used to host a bunco night, and bunco's super mindless, roll dice and chat and hang out and whatever. When everybody's gotten into mahjong. And I did not love mahjong initially because it requires a lot of brain power for me. It's a lot of thinking and quiet, and I can't talk to anybody because I'm mahjonging. Anyways, but I was like, this is what everybody's doing now. And so I figured out how to play mahjong. Someone teach me, because I cannot stand, I don't love missing out on anything.
You have FOMO.
I have the biggest FOMO. So I'm like, all you people are having fun and hanging out. I got to figure this out. So I figured that out. And now we'll do a mahjong night or whatever. And so I think about any way I can get girlfriends together, have them over to do something. And now we do it a lot, after the kids go to bed or whatever. So we're not leaving during bedtime stuff. But that is super rejuvenating for me.
And what would you say? You hang out with your friends and family. If I had some of your friends in the room right now, what would they say is the most Maggie trait?
So I asked two of my best friends this question because I was like, I don't know. I mean, what would they say? It might be different than what I would say. And one of them hadn't gotten back to me yet. And then she messaged me last night and she said, I just got 2 free tickets to see Water for Elephants at the Peace Center. Do you want to go on Sunday? We have a lot going on Sunday. And I was like, everything in me is like, yes, I will figure it out. And then everything else is like, you shouldn't, because there's all this stuff. And I told her, I said, don't you tempt me with free tickets, a good time, and slightly lighting my hair on fire. I'm in. I'm going to figure it out. And she was like, that is my answer. She was like, you love adventure and spontaneity, and you are the yes woman to, I've been to Africa a few times. I've gone, gone across the country. If someone says you want to go to a concert, you want to go to a play, let's do it. I'm like, yes, woman. I'm like, let's do it, and I'll figure it out.
So are you a person that likes to hike or anything like that? Or are you just spontaneous in the moment?
It's any kind of spontaneous adventure. So going to the state fair, you ask me on a Tuesday, Wednesday morning, I'm at the state fair. That's I just love a spontaneous adventure. And especially if it's in normally we should be working right now, but instead I'm on a roller coaster. I'm all down for all that.
Good. And I know that you are a Greenville native.
Yep.
Went to Wayhampton High School. You've seen a ton of change that has happened in Greenville.
Oh yeah.
And not just Greenville. Let's say the upstate, because I think you have even the suburbs outside of Greenville that's flourishing. Greer, Travelers Rest, Powersville East.
All their little downtowns are popping up.
All of them are popping up. So what would you say, just living in upstate, what's the beauty about it? Why should someone want to come to the upstate of South Carolina?
Oh, I love Greenville. I love my clients that are not from Greenville. There are things that we take for granted here that they don't, because they're not used to, you'll come down 385 from Haywood Road, and then the mountains, I did it today, and it's just take your breath away. You're like, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. And they'll be in the car and go, oh my gosh, those mountains. And I'm like, you're right. I look at them all the time. You're right. It's beautiful. And so I would say, it's a beautiful place to live, but for me, what keeps my husband and I here is just the people. We have our whole community is here, our whole families are here, all of that, but also just I love the people. Anywhere I've gone, anywhere else, I feel like it's just not, the culture of the town is not the same. And there's so much to do. I feel like it's such a family-friendly community. It's been cool to see as Greenville has grown. I feel like the wave of the breweries kind of started. And now I feel like Greenville's growing with me, which is probably not at all what's happening, but it is appealing to all the different phases of life. And so we would go to the breweries or whatever when we were single or didn't have kids yet. And now what the breweries are doing is creating green spaces so that the kids can still come. So we can still do that and hang out with friends and stuff, but also have places to take the kids. And like, I just feel like there's so many fun, like we're going to Boo in the Zoo this week. I'm like, that's so fun. Like there's so many things like that. And then I feel like I have families that have opened my eyes that have kids with different kind of learning disabilities or different disabilities. And they're like, the resources you have in Greenville is unbelievable that we never had in California, that we never had in other places and stuff like that, that my job kind of opens my eyes that I'm like, I just take that for granted. Like if you need this or that or this doctor or that doctor or whatever, we have that here. And they're like some of the best of the best. And so if we lived anywhere else other than like, I guess, another major city hub, you'd be driving to those places for those resources. But we still get small town Greenville, but we have some of that stuff that's such a benefit that we don't have to live in Atlanta or somewhere that's like a big, big city.
I agree with you. Me and my wife were talking about this. She's from Nebraska. So she's seen a whole different way of life, which Lincoln, Nebraska isn't exactly what people think it is. It's not just cornfield. There are cornfields, right? But like when you think about Greenville, like let's just talk about like the food scene alone.
Oh yeah.
There's so many different types of food.
Yes.
Like, I don't think that we could go the entire year without like you can go to a different restaurant every single day.
Oh yeah.
And most people think about downtown. They forget about like the east side of Greenville, like, all the stuff on that side, or going to Greer or Travelers Rest. So like right here, we're at the Commons. How you can come here and do so much in one day.
I know. So. Before I came here, I was like, well, I gotta get my kuka juice. I gotta get all my stuff that I don't normally get. And like our brother and sister-in-law, every time they come from Florence, they go out to eat because they're like, we don't have this kind of food scene.
And I'm from the Charleston area, and I love Charleston. But I would not trade this for that.
That's right. It's different.
But
you get the foodie scene that you have in Charleston. We still have some tourists now, which cracks me up. I'm like, what are we looking at? But you lose a little bit of the tourism that Charleston's got.
Yeah, my mother-in-law came in town. She's like, loves history.
Yeah.
And then she was just like, let's go see all the history things. I'm like, I don't really know what to tell you. Yes, that's it, right?
To go to the Upcountry History Museum.
Yeah. Well, we were going to go there. We didn't make it there, though. Well, and then talking about like just relationships in general, what would you say like right now, the relationship that's the most important to you right now? And what do you do to kind of like foster and kind of like cultivate those relationships?
I feel like I touched on this a little bit, that when I was single, I had a big circle of people. And so right now, what's most important in thinking about time and the limitation of time is my family, is my husband and my 2 kids. And I feel like that's so cliche to say, but it has been hard for me to accept the circle getting smaller. It has to. I feel like I'm not able to give the depth of relationship that I once was when I didn't have a husband and kids and all of that. But our family's super important to my husband and I. And so we try to be really present with our kids, spend a lot of time with them. And then our families of origin, except for our brother and sister-in-law, are in Greenville. And so it's so sweet that our kids get to see their grandparents all the time. And like my brother and sister-in-law live down the street from us. And so like we see the cousins all the time. And so I feel like in the free time that we get, we're either trying to cultivate that family foundation, the 4 of us, and then outside of that, we have our families of origin, and then we have our like closest friends. But again, and we spend time, we have a wonderful village and community of people that fill us up. But I feel like as the circle's gotten smaller, you have to be more strategic. That feels like a weird word to say with relationships, but it has to be a relationship that like we're pouring into relationships that are feeding and fueling our marriage, our parenting, our family.
That's important.
It's super important. They don't have enough time for the ones that don't.
Yeah.
And so, and that's like, it's hard but you have to really focus on that, because it's like if I have a limitation of time, then when we go on this trip with these people, or if we choose to, go on a date night with these people, like it has to be people and relationships that are fueling and caring for us as a couple, and then also as parents, and like marching towards the same things and encouraging us.
Yeah, what's that saying? Birds of a feather flock together.
That's right.
And it means a lot. And I've found this, and when you're a kid, like you kind of want everybody to be your friend.
Mhm.
And then as you get older, you realize, "Ooh, I can't have that."
That's right.
But also you realize just how important it is to have those right people to help you just move forward. You don't got all the answers in the world. I love to say this saying because my dad told me this once before when I was little, and I did not understand it at all. Is that you can visit the future if you listen to the people who've been there before you. And I was like, now that I'm 32, I'm like, man, like, just there's so many people that are around you can help you, so you don't have to make those same mistakes.
That's right.
So you don't have to go through that same trauma. You're still gonna go through some of it, but it just ease the pain just a little bit.
I mean, I am not a big small talker. And so like anytime we go out with some of these friends, like they know I get deep fat. Like I'm like, I love the question of like, what's good, what's hard right now? Like I want to know what's going on. And that's going to get that question gets you to the root of like, what's going on right now? I want to know both. I want to know what's awesome. And I also want to know like what's really hard right now. Like how can we encourage you in that, or how can we pray for you in that, or whatever. But then also to have people doing that for us, because I think if you're willing to say help or to say, what do y'all see in this? Or do y'all see anything that we should be looking at or doing differently? Or, I mean, I just think that those relationships we're really investing in are the ones that I feel like we're like pouring into them and they're pouring into us. That's super important to us as a family.
Yeah, I love that. Like I said, relationships matter. And speaking of relationships, I know that your mom was one of the reasons why you got into real estate. She kind of like pitched the idea to you a little bit.
Yep.
And I know we haven't talked about a lot, Maggie, at all, real estate, because we really want to focus on who Maggie is. Kind of tell us the story of how you got into real estate.
So I worked at a IT distributor beforehand, so it was in the corporate world, and that job just kept kind of getting more and more and more. And so I just kind of started looking for something else, just wanted to do something else. And so I had been thinking about I had been told in my life, you should be in sales, that kind of thing. So I looked into all the typical medical device sales or whatever. And all the doors just kept closing and kept closing. And I just was like, I've been praying a lot about it. I'm just like, Lord, open a door. Like, what could it be? And my mom had mentioned real estate before. I'm not a risk taker. And so I was like, maybe when I get married or whatever, which is kind of the joke of like, I'm so thankful that I got to start and take off my real estate career before that. Cause again, like I mentioned, I was able to give 110% to real estate. So anyways, but then my job I just had gotten to where I was like, something's got to give. I just need to do something different. And so I was in Florida at a work thing, like a work trip, and we were talking about it again. And then she kind of gave the like, we're not going to let you fall on your face kind of thing. Like, what if you just tried it for a year? And then if you hate it, then you can find another job, which is what you're trying to do anyways. And it was kind of that for my like non-risk taker self. It was kind of that moment that clicked to go, I'm just going to try it. Like, let's just try it. Let's do it. And I looked to see, they did a rolling start with the real estate schools at the time. And so I was like, I wonder when the next real estate school is. And it was exactly 2 weeks from that day, which would have been my 2 weeks to give the company, because I love my time there and I love the company and all that. But anyways, and so I was like, I guess we're doing this. Like Monday, it was a Friday. And so it was like, I guess we're doing this. Okay. And so Monday, I turned in my 2 weeks notice, went to real estate school. And then I think it's November 1st. So coming up will be 14 years. And I never looked back. I loved it so much. I mean, I remember at the time, real estate, the exam was difficult because it's asking questions like an amortization schedule and a mortgage. And I'm like, I don't literally know about any of this.
Yeah.
And I just like soaked it in and I worked for an amazing company of people that poured into me and helped answer questions. And I always tell people, when you're trying to figure out a company to go with, make sure you align with a broker in charge that knows what they're doing, because you don't.
Yeah.
And so what you've got to do is you've got to be the expert to your clients. Well, don't be afraid to not know the answer, but you say, I don't know, but I am going to get back to you. And then you run back to the broker in charge and say, help, this is the situation. What do I do? And you have to align yourself with someone who is willing to invest in you in that way, answer questions. Cause I mean, I'm still learning new things. I mean, literally every deal I have, I feel like there's something new, crazy that pops up.
I feel like the only thing in real estate that's constant is change.
That's right. For so many reasons. Yeah.
And Maggie, being voted 8 times in a row since 2014, 15
Mhm.
as a best realtor in the Upstate. That's not nothing to sneeze at all. Like, what do you think that just comes from? Like, is it just your personality, the way you approach it? I mean, 8 times, that's a
Yeah.
lot.
It's so humbling. I feel like, you have to ask people to vote and all that stuff is just like hard. When when you get nominated, you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Thank you. Then you have to ask people to vote and all that stuff. And I feel like I'm just overwhelmed and humbled at the people rooting me on. Like, to me, I'm like, sure, of course, like, people know I take care of people. They know that I love my job. But I'm like, it's just the people and their like cheerleading of me, their encouragement of me, their support of me to want to vote, to want to take time to go, like, we're rooting you on. Like, we know you love your job. And so we're going to vote for you. And so I always tell people that among my other like top realtor of this or, number this agent or whatever, that one's my favorite because I'm like, it gives my clients in my community a voice to actually get to vote. And I'm always super humbled that they do, that they even take time out of their day to do that.
Yeah, 8 years.
Oh no, it's amazing. But I'm like, that's them.
Yeah.
That's them. I mean, they're amazing.
That has to be some kind of record around here. I don't know.
It actually is.
It is.
But again, I'm like, it's these sweet people. I'm like, I'll just, be running into somebody and they're like, hey, I voted for you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you. That's amazing.
Just random people?
It's people I know, but like, they're not clients of mine. Like, I'll pass somebody in the hall at church or I'll see somebody at the grocery store, or they'll see my mom and they'll, stuff like that I'm like, my gosh, thank you. That's awesome.
And the last one before we kind of wrap up here, Maggie, obviously, I know you care the way you make people feel. What would you say at the end of the day when you've met so many different people and you impacted so many people, what would you want that feeling that they said, Maggie made me feel?
I thought about that. I'm like, I feel like if you can make someone feel seen, they feel loved, they feel valued, known, celebrated, cared for. And I'm like, in real estate, you catch people in high highs and low lows and all the moments in between. And it just makes me emotional because I just love people so much. And I just think being seen is one of the greatest gifts you can give someone.
I agree. Especially in the world today. I mean, life is hard. There's so many different things going on. I was just talking to my wife last night, and then one of my friends said, hey, I posted this on Threads. I'm like, what? And like, there's so many different social media accounts, so many different things going on. And as much as I love people too, I don't know if you've been in Costco. Nobody sees nobody.
It's true.
It's everybody out for themselves. And sometimes like my
right.
wife have to pull me back because I get a little frustrated about it. Like you just went right across me. You didn't like try to stop. You didn't try to acknowledge that at all.
Everybody's so distracted.
Yeah, they're so distracted. Everybody in their own world. So the fact that you just said, just being seen, and I really think you getting that 8 times in a row, by that being in the back of your mind, that's what people notice about you, is being seen and how important that is. Like, you don't make them feel like they're living in Costco world.
I hope not.
Well, Maggie, I want to thank you so much for coming and joining us and telling more about who Maggie Aiken Toler is. Maggie, like, if somebody wanted to reach out to you and want to connect with you, what are some of those best ways to do that via like just personal or just through social media? Yeah,
so social media, I would say Instagram is at Maggie Toler Real Estate, but you can text me 864-616-4280. I would say text is good. Email is mtoler@cdanjoiner.com. Email is also good. So I would say, I always tell people, call, email, text, all that stuff. I don't work on Sundays, but otherwise. Yeah.
Great. And before we kind of just wrap up and I kind of let our viewers go, what's that one advice that you would give to anybody who's looking kind of like kind of wanting to jump in and do real estate, but not too sure, or somebody who has their license but just kind of sitting on the sideline?
I was going to say one piece of advice. This is not the question you just asked. If you're already in it, I feel like the best advice that I was given a couple things from my broker in charge that she has since passed. But she said, number one, cut the crazy, which I think about and quote all the time, is like knowing when to say yes and when to say no. And then my advice to little Maggie going 110 miles an hour towards a brick wall would be to have boundaries in place. And so whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you have kids, like real estate can take over your life if you let it. And it's easy to let it. And it is a job that is fueled really strongly by the harder you work, the more money you make, the more deals you get, whatever. And you have to really purposefully choose to pull back from that and do less to give more to yourself, your husband, your kids, whatever, your life. It just can't all be real estate, is my personal decision and opinion. And so, I mean, I had to put some pretty hard boundaries in place when I was single because I was giving all of myself to real estate. And so I mentioned just now, like, I don't work on Sundays. That's kind of unique, but I remember saying, if Chick-fil-A can do it, I can do it, you know? And I needed a day off. It was like, if I don't have a day off, I'm no good to anybody. And so I feel like and then having kids, we've kind of talked about all the boundaries and all the things, but just like to really make sure that you're taking time to take care of yourself, to take care of the people that are the most important to you, because clearly I love and I'm super passionate about my clients. But there's also a component of this that in 5 years, there's some of them that they won't remember my name and I might not remember their name. And so I've got to make sure, I know I mentioned before, but that the people that are the most important to me are the ones that are winning most of the time. And you do that through boundaries, because otherwise people will take advantage of talking to, not even in a bad, negative way, but they'll take advantage of being able to talk to you at all times of night. You have to be able to cut it off at a certain time. You have to choose to not respond to that email at this time of night, or all of that. That's just like, you have to prioritize yourself and your family and whatever it is for you that's the most important to you, because real estate can very easily and quickly take over, especially if you're making money. It's like, gotta hustle, gotta get after it, because I'm gonna get some benefit from it. And it's like, that's right. But then it's like at the expense of what? I feel like I had to get really good at backtracking until I got better at the saying no on the front end. I mean, I've had to have humbling conversations to go, I'm so sorry. Like, I said that I could help you, and if we hadn't started and whatever, but to go, I just don't know that I can give you the depth that I would want to because of what I've already taken on. Stuff like that.
Great.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, thank you again for tuning in and watching another episode of Upstate Real Producers Beyond the Pages. Don't forget to go like, comment, and subscribe to keep up with more realtors like Maggie and kind of seeing who they are and not just what they do.